Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Do you have any minutes and reports received and filed?
Yes, I have the collector's December 2024 fees.
Okay. Commissioner Committee Liaison Reports, upcoming meetings and events.
I got a MAC board meeting tomorrow, a couple other little small meetings. That's the main one there, so fairly slow.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, well, today, we get done in time. The chamber annual meeting is at 11:30 out at Windsong or Windstone, whatever that is. And then tonight, I'm supposed to go to Longman City Council on our 250th anniversary. Thursday, I've got lunch with the new MU Healthcare Vice Chancellor. Friday, be over in Columbia. Saturday through Thursday, January 25th through 30th, we have the captain and crew members of the USS Missouri here, so I will be all over the place with them and at the Capitol and everything. So if you see me and the three sailors, come up and introduce yourselves.
That's how a lot of jokes start.
Any commission comments? Bids and contracts. Bid award, the Wildwood Drive Extension, project number 2023-701-1.
So we open bids on the Wildwood Drive project on Friday. And Cody Dars here from Central Missouri Professional Services. They did the design work on it. He finished the design work on it. Paul Sampson started the design work in 2007, so. it's been
When was
around
that
quite-
date it was started?
What's the date? 2007. The exact date I don't know, maybe
Well, that's
April.
close enough.
2007. So,
Okay.
been around a long time. Obviously, when something sits around that long, prices increase. Just unnecessary, it happens. And we actually, through the process of trying to get the project to a number where we felt like we could move on it, we'd actually cut some things, scaled it back from a 2 or 3 lane with curb and gutter to a 2 lane with shoulders, which actually fits the surrounding area better than what we were proposing anyway, and is less, destructive through the bottom area coming up to Rock Ridge Road. So good project. The bids, we sent those to you Friday. Okay, I don't have the bid tabs in front of me right now, but you all got those on Friday. Everything came in higher than expected. A few things. So when we budgeted this back initially, we were in the 4 million range. Inflation has been a killer the past couple of years. We increased the budget number to 5 million over the summer, and then finishing up the project, the engineer's estimate came in at 5.85 million. So things just increased even during that time period. So a few things to point out. So yes, we're over our budget amount. We're also over the engineer's estimate amount by about $200,000. So there's a few things in this. The city, there's sewer work as part of this project that is being paid by the city. That's $271,000. There's also some water line work that'll be paid by the Water District number 2. That's $59,600. So when you add everything up, and I got a little chart there, or kind of little summary of everything, when you do all the math and everything, we're about $716,000 short. So, a lot of times with a project, we'll try to award it the Tuesday after the bid opening on that previous Friday. In this case, we don't feel like we're ready to do that yet. However, urgency is big right now. Tree clearing has to be done on the project by March 31st. So we expect that we'll come back to you next week with a recommended award. And in the meantime, we'll discuss ways to fund the additional. Couple we can throw out there. And Matt could add some input to a few projects that we may have to put on hold till next year. There's some of those we can look at. We can look at a gravel road upgrade project that we're doing this year. We got it all lumped in asphalt and paving, or asphalt and grading. We may have to just break it into 2 phases, do the grading this year, do the asphalt next year. Looking at different ways that we can maneuver things in our budget to be able to account for the extra money. Additional, and I haven't made the ask yet, but if we want to go back to the city, this is a cooperative project. It does have cooperative project funds in it. Right now, those monies stand at $4 million, $2 million from the county, $2 million from the city. There's additional county safety funds and major thoroughfare funds being put in to get to the $5 million that we had budgeted originally. Not to mention the fund, or the amount of money we've put in for the design work, acquiring right-of-way and everything else. The county's got a pretty sizable investment in this project leading up to this point, and then additional to get to this, get it to construction. So possibly we look at maybe renegotiating that city-county agreement. I don't know, Dave, if you have any input on that. There's a few projects that are still waiting to take to construction. We have Monroe Street, the CART project. I guess this is number 3. We also have some engineering work on West Edgewood and Stadium, Madison Street, and then also High Street Viaduct. So engineering started on the High Street Viaduct project, but there was some money sitting there for match money in case we got a grant. So, but
Another precedent was Capitol Avenue, because I think originally what we were putting into Capitol Avenue you ended up doing a lot more work, and so we came back and put more money in on that. So don't remember that and see when we come and talk to you about Wildwood. But yeah, I want to see this move ahead.
Did we put more in on capital?
Yes, we did.
we actually,
Or was I the only one that said, I'm not putting more in it because we said we were putting this much in it? Because I thought that was gonna come and backfire on me on this one.
my recollection is we were probably a little under what the city contributed, but there was a lot of decorative signposts and lighting and some other things.
Part of it, I think, a lot of the cost was the electric that went in for
Electric,
the.
Yeah, I don't know, we said we weren't gonna do benches, electric and stuff like that, so. So
But
I was
then-
wondering if on this one, we were gonna have to say, if it's not something that we added, then we may just have to choke this one down and finish up the project. So,
I know we ended up doing some more funds.
So, in the previous sales tax cycle, there was some money, additional money spent by the city on a project less than us. So we made up the difference at the very end with the MSP redevelopment project that will be on the agenda for, and I'll get it on in a couple of weeks. I'll give you an update on where that's at. But that is moving along, expected to bid within the next 3 months or so. But that was where some of that imbalance was in the previous sales tax cycle. This one, we've tried to split it pretty much even.
I don't want to get too much in the weeds on this, Eric, at this time, but refresh my memory on the wide sidewalk or nature trail, or where did we end up on that?
So, when we went to a 2-lane road without curb and gutter, we, with the development that's taken place, the fair development, inside city limits, that's, when we've talked about that, pretty sizable, and they're getting ready to go on their project too, so it coincides with this. But in lieu of the sidewalk, we needed to have a trail or a sidewalk offset from the roadway, which became the Greenway Trail. So that takes the place of what you'd usually see as a sidewalk along a development like that. And that was, the city had an agreement with them for lot of different things. They had to do so much, and the city in turn would do this, and get sewer to a certain point, and those kinds of things. So there's a lot rolled into that agreement between the developer and the city.
Okay.
But that's where the Greenway came out of that whole process.
So
Instead of
there is a parallel greenway with the road?
It goes
To a certain-
to the county line, or the
Okay.
city county line, yes. It's not, it kind of snakes through along the creek, parallel to the right of way, not actually up against the road. We did bid an alternate in the project to take that up the hill on the county side, but with the project coming in over estimate, we'll not take that alternate. But the grading will be done in such that we could do it at a later date, if and when funding becomes available and the need arises. I will add that there was 4 bidders on the project, and they were all within
63,000, 64,000 of each other.
$64,000 from low to high, that close. So that tells me we had a really good set of plans, everything was lined out good. Cody and Paul previously did a good job getting it to that point. I think it's just the nature of the way this construction industry is right now. We're facing a lot of work out in the state with the I-70 corridor. Right now, there's a lot going on, and so contractors are being pushed to the limit, and so it's just the nature of that. And it's a lot of work. There's a lot of work here to get this road done.
Yeah. I wanna see it move forward. Matt, you had us spoiled coming in under bid in all these projects, so you let us down.
That's why I'm late this
You let
morning. I
us down.
figured y'all would get that out of your system before I showed up.
That was my first thought when I saw that. I thought, gosh, Matt let us down.
I let y'all down on this one.
I think it was, things just came in higher, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's a sizable project, a lot of little parts and pieces to it, big set of plans. I don't know how many sheets, but it was probably the biggest set we've ever put out for bid. And this is the biggest project dollar-wise that we've ever done, so. But we don't need a decision today. We'll do some figuring on our end. Possibly talk with David a little bit to see if there's room. I kind of think we can probably make it work on our end and maneuver our budget around, but definitely need to see if there's some room on the city-county agreement. But we can address some of that later. But we'll talk about it. We'll bring you back a contract for award next week. And again, urgency is pretty big right now because of the deadlines for getting the trees removed. So we got to move on this quick.
Getting down for those Indiana bats come.
That's right.
I remember those from Cart. Yeah.
Now we haven't had them again on this one we had to deal with, so. Okay,
Okay?
that's all we have.
Signing of agreement to purchase 3 copier printers and their service and supplies agreement.
Can I come back to that
Yeah,
real quick?
okay. Bid award 2025-01 EMS vehicle fleet maintenance and repair services.
Thanks, Cody. Paul, thanks.
David?
David, thanks.
We bid out the vehicle fleet maintenance and repair services for EMS. We had one vendor submit a response, which was Donnie Braun and Sons Auto Repair. EMS has had a contract with them previously, and they have been pleased with their services and they're pleased with their pricing that was submitted. So our recommendation is to award 2025-01 to Donnie Braun and Sons Auto Repair. And I do have a contract for signature.
Contract? Good? Okay. Make a motion to award the EMS vehicle fleet maintenance and repair services to Donnie Braun and Sons and sign the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna table the contract signing of the 2024-22 cleaning services EMS until next week. So we're gonna table that. So we will go to new business. Accounts payable review.
I'd ask for approval of accounts payable pending the review.
I'll make a motion to approve accounts payable pending review.
I'm gonna second, I'll make sure I didn't have, I think I had them right on there on the board meeting.
You do.
Okay, then I will second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. New, let's see, signing of letter of support for Missouri River Levee Project, and I have it here, so.
Paul, you wanna fill them in a little bit on this? So, Paul with JC Reps working with the city on the levee across the river that would replace the Capitol View levee, or some of it, I guess. Been going on for about a year now. or
Couple
so.
years, yeah.
Couple years, but Paul can give you the basics on it, but they're just requesting a letter of support from the county commission to move forward with and ultimately seek some funds for the project.
Yeah, so the Corps of Engineers and Department of Natural Resources have been working on a study of the levee on the north side of the river. Like Eric said, for a couple of years now. There was a public meeting, or I guess the report is kind of been released to the public in its draft form, and they're currently taking public comment on it. They had a public meeting at DNR's building last week or the week before, kind of explaining the results of the study. And right now there's, because Department of Natural Resources is the non-federal sponsor for this study portion of it, they have taken the position that they want 100% agreement with all the interested parties in order to move the study forward. So right now the study shows two possible options. One of them is do nothing. The other option is to build a new federal levee that would basically be 1,000 foot plus or minus away from the river, parallel with the existing Capitol View levee. So this is very, very preliminary study phase. They're about on a 3 to 5% level of design, but they're looking for public comments of what does the community want to see from this study? Do they want the offset levee, or do they want to do nothing? Because of the infrastructure and all the entities that are on that side of the river, with the airport, the wastewater treatment plant from the city, Hitachi, one of the region's largest employers, is over there. There's over $500 million worth of investments that would be protected by this new levee. So while while this is actually located in Callaway County, we thought it was appropriate and important because of the jobs and the economic drivers that are located over there, really for the entire region. Would ask the commission to approve the letter of support to be entered into the record, so that DNR and the Corps of Engineers, and then moving forward, the city of Jefferson would be the non-federal sponsor once it gets to implementation. But we thought it was important that the commission weigh in on that.
Yeah, we were all in on that Zoom, about a week and a half ago, on that snowy Friday. So I think we're aware of it, and we have the letter prepared to sign.
Some might ask, what's Cole County? What's their interest in something in Callaway? Do you know how many households in western Cole County are on the Grays Creek sewer, which actually ends up there?
Oh, yeah, pretty much, everything from probably 179 westward is all on that Grays Creek sewer district area, all the way out to St. Martin's. So yeah, there's a very large area that, where that wastewater ultimately does go to the treatment plant on the north side of the river. Some of the improvements that the city has done at the wastewater treatment plant, the plant is physically out of the floodplain and doesn't get flooded, but they don't have access to it. They have to boat people in and things like that in the event of floods. What the new levee would do is increase the level of protection from about a 1 in 6 year probability of being flooded to a 1 in 100 year. So it really greatly increases the amount of flood protection to not only the wastewater treatment plant, the airport, and then Hitachi and some of the other large businesses over there as well. So.
I'll make a motion that the commission sign, excuse me, the letter of support.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thanks, Paul.
You bet.
Can we move that next one to the end, public works salary discussion to the end? The Campo tri-level, Paul's involved in that.
Yeah, I think, Brian, are you ready?
Yeah.
We had
Okay, yeah.
tabled him, we might go back to Brian,
That's fine.
and then we'll come back to the Campo. Signing of agreement to purchase 3 copier printers and their service and supplies agreement.
So this is for the Cole County Sheriff's Office, and they have 3 copiers that are 8 years old that are starting to cause them problems. So we recommend a replacement. They're under contract, state contract with Marco. We had budgeted significantly more for this, but we were able to bring it in at $7,376.58 for three of them. So I would just ask that we go ahead and get approval to purchase these.
You're just trying to make Matt look bad today.
I've come in well below budget on this.
That's a nice document.
That's fine.
Yeah, and this is coming out of the sheriff's fund, so.
Yeah, I'm good with it. You got the contract, I guess, that was sent to us. Okay, I'll make a motion to sign the agreement to purchase 3 copier/printers, their services and supplies agreement with Marco for $7,376.58.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Eric, did you want to do the Campo tri-level next?
Yes, please.
Campo tri-level study discussion.
So, at some point last year, I don't remember exactly when.
About a year ago.
About a year ago, yeah. Early last year, Campo County City began working on this idea of doing a study of the tri-level to try to generate some alternatives or for solutions for that traffic issue that's going on there currently. We approached MoDOT about partnering with them, and they're, at this current time, they don't have the funding, and it's not really in their plan right now, I guess, to start that study, and so we felt like it was best to pursue that now because there's a lot of federal grants out there for this type of work, and we felt like by getting ahead of it, we could be prepared for when the time comes to seek some of those grants. So, worked on it. It took a little bit longer than what we wanted, but we've made it to this point. Campo, they're the lead on the project. They issued an RFQ for an engineer to do the study. Actually got one submittal from Bartlett and West, and they negotiate a scope and fee, and the fee was a little bit higher than where they wanted to be. However, prior to that, we had come to the city council and county commission to do the match money for the project. Campo had $200,000 in federal funds available to put towards it, and at the time we were budgeting about $250,000. So city and county agreed to verbally to support that $50,000 match. It's an 80-20, and so $25,000 each.
Well, and I might just mention, whenever we initially started talking about this, the actual budget we thought could be upwards of $500,000 for the study. In order to secure the Campo funds, the city and county each contributed $25,000, which secured the Campo money, knowing that we would come back once we had a scope and fee negotiated, and then figure out exactly what that contract amount was, and then come back and try to figure out how to get the difference for that. So,
Originally, it was a little higher, but they negotiated it down to $330,803, so 80,000 or so more than that 250 is.
It's
where-
already been committed.
Yeah, where we already committed, so, Jeff, he was there last week at the Campo board meeting, and, we gave direction to move forward with the project, but city and county would seek additional funds to match that additional money needed. So what that ends up for us, and David was here earlier, should have asked him to stay, but they've identified additional money in their budget to be able to put towards this. And so we're just asking the county commission if they would be interested in that as well. So the additional amount is for $40,401.03. So total, our commitment to the project would be $65,401.03. If you want to move forward with the additional.
So we had some more discussion during the meeting too. It was a pretty lengthy meeting, just talking about this, but they were also talking about possibly finding some other funding through Campbell, possibly down the road, so we could be reimbursed for this additional amount, possibly. That probably not gonna happen, but it's out there.
I think it was hard to really get clear direction from the feds and MoDOT where money was, if there was any to be had, but the way it sounded like you could go into the next budget year, there could be some money there. So maybe at that point, we're still on the study, working on it, and there's some additional money to put towards it.
So when we talked about that though, if we, I guess, going after that money, we could have punted this down the road for a couple more months.
Mhm.
But we really need to keep this rolling because there is money out there and we need to be prepared to go after it. I know this is a state issue, but if we don't even take this step, it's not gonna go anywhere. And I don't know if you see anything happen in 20 years.
Well, and that's, I mean,
Unfortunately.
and that's been done in a lot of communities, even though it is a, like you said, is a state issue. You know, the state government has limited funds, and, you know, federal government likes to print money, so it's not quite so limited, but, you know, if a community shows the initiative and has a project that's further along, they're a lot more apt to be able to get some of those funds. Matter of fact, there was the Federal Highway put out a notice of funding opportunity a couple of weeks ago for planning funds that, you know, if this first phase of the study were done and we kind of knew what the limits or what the potential solutions were, that would be money that we could go after to kind of finish the design work on it, move it forward to get it closer to construction. But you know, right now we just have a thought and, you know, a need, and no real plans on how to address that. So if you can come up with the plan on how to address the need, then it's a lot easier to go after the federal funds to actually get it constructed.
I think we have to stay with the city and move forward with this this tri-level double diamond, more commonly known as the malfunction junction, needs. We may never get an interstate in this town, but maybe we'll get an interstate interchange style. But I'm willing to go along with this next request.
As am I.
So what do you need today as far as action from us? The blessing and we'll need to.
Just a vote to approve supporting the project with additional funding. And we'll figure out where we find that. We're already trying to hunt for some more money for Wildwood, so we'll have to do some maneuvering in our budget to cover that. But
The
we'll
ask,
make it work.
the ask today is 40,000 and something. Is that the number again?
That's the additional. I
Right.
think I would just word it as to support the Campo tri-level study, matching funds in the amount of $65,401.03.
I'll make the motion to support the progress of this operation, and at this point, fund up to $65,401.03.
Yep. Okay.
Okay,
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I appreciate Paul's involvement in this. I think JC rep is doing what we all felt like we needed in this community, and projects like this, it's helpful to have somebody like him and his organization kind of maybe not lead facilitating, helping the effort.
Facilitate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after we talked with David last week after the Campo meeting, it sounds like their plan is going to be to go to the, assuming that the county was on board, I think their plan is to go to the city council first meeting in February with a design contract, so.
So with that, Campo can sign the agreement with Bartlett West next month and move forward with it.
Maybe see something happen within the next 20 years.
I hope
Any
so.
luck?
I mean, it's very frustrating. We're gonna get earfuls about using county money for this, so I guess we just gotta be ready for it. So,
Yeah, I mean-
I got plenty of backside to be chewed on, so we'll be all right.
The county supported projects that are on state right of way, like the Lafayette Interchange, and I know that's one in particular, and there's been others as well, so
Yeah.
we gotta all work together, and they're a partner just like the city is.
Well, and the way I
You're such a
see
nice
it,
guy.
I can't say stuff like you can.
No, you're right. It's, we'll try to play nice in the sandbox, but
yeah, the way I see it, this is just kind of gets things going. At the end of the day, right now, MoDOT has this on their long-range plan, but there's no funding for it. They've got it estimated at $100 million. So, if it costs you $65,000 to get a $100 million investment, it's pretty good bang for your buck, so.
it's one way to look at it.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you, guys. Oh, Eric's
You
not
have our
leaving yet.
blessing.
I sat on this side just to mess you all up a little bit.
Okay, so are you ready for public works salary discussion?
Sure.
Okay,
So, Matt, you can assist with this as we go through, but, so back in, actually, first of last year, we started looking at where we needed to be on our starting salary. We saw, since we last did some adjustments, we saw the city raise their starting up, and we also saw MoDOT raise theirs even higher. And we were basically on the pretty low trailing end. I struggle sometimes. Our starting salary is $32,400, and that's for the entry-level equipment operator one. They're expected to have a CDL, commercial driver's license, within 6 months of hire, and with that, that's a pretty high in demand position or
So on the
occupation right now.
CDL, to jump in real quick, they're required to have it within 6 months. At whose expense?
We pay that, we get that for them if they don't have it already, but they sign that agreement to pay that back, $3,000 if they leave within 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're making it sound like it's a big deal, but really, they're gonna be working on getting it while they're working.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, but it's, some people come with it, some people don't. So, we're requesting that we raise our starting salary to $38,000. That puts us in the middle of where the state and MoDOT is, or I'm sorry, where the city and MoDOT is. The city, by my best calculation in getting recent information from them, later last year was $36,138. MoDOT's $40,948. And MoDOT struggles to get people on their maintenance side. I kind of see it a little bit. It's just a little more restrictive work in there, and I think, we're kind of in a little bit of a niche where we're at in the city as well. So we started realizing this, last year that we needed to bump our starting up. So our request is $38,000. That's on the equipment operator one. That's the entry-level position coming in the door. Mechanic, we were way off from where we needed to be. We're at our starting with the COLA that we added last year was $39,990. The city's currently at $50,850. MoDOT's $47,762. So our request is to get the starting up for the entry-level mechanic to $48,000. So both of these are in between where MoDOT and the city are, and those are our closest, if you want to call them competitors, that's where they sit. So in doing this, bumping our starting up to that point, what we did is for that work group, so the equipment operator up to the crew supervisor, all within the same work group, we looked at the COLA and just did an adjustment to get them the same amount, and it's $4,600 to get them up to 38,000, or the third to get the minimum or the starting up to 38,000, and then incrementally for everybody else. So I sent, this was submitted in our budget request at the end of August to the auditor, and also discussed at our commission budget hearing the 1st of December. At that time, we had had a retirement and resignation, so I adjusted the salary spreadsheet to show that everything went down. That was also submitted at that point to you all for review. And since then, we've done some additional adjustments as well. And what we submitted with this current request is our base salary is less than what was commission approved. And again, the auditor recommended and it was approved for a salary reserve number of $114,500 plus the 35% benefits for a total of $154,500. So our base salary from what is actually in the budget is less by $14,184. And then of that salary reserve that's in the budget, our request is $27,377 less than commission approved. So everything's come in a little bit under. I kind of anticipated that at the time during our budget hearing just because of the changes. But we've tried to be reasonable with this. And as we see it, increasing our starting salary in this particular work group is vital. We're seeing a lot of demands for this throughout the state. A big contractor in Columbia is hiring right now. They got awarded one of the big jobs on I-70. There's currently a job going on right now on I-70 in Columbia. And we're gonna see this continue for the next 10 years as I-70 gets built out and then I-44 gets built out too. That will be the next one. So we're gonna see this draw on these types of people and this type of work. So we gotta basically stay in the game. And so that's what our request is. See what you all think. I'd like to visit with you and just get your feedback on it.
So we've taken this to our HR, so I want to make a statement?
I support his ask on the equipment operators and that first group. The numbers are falling out. I do have all of the data that I need on job descriptions, performance reviews, everything. I do support it and the data supports it on the first group.
Okay, so that's equipment operator 1.
Yes, and down to, the first mechanic is in there, in that first ask, and I understand his ask, but I've not been able to validate it entirely because we're looking at going almost up to the high without the others being competitive.
Okay, on the mechanic? What do you mean by that?
Well, the high out of your comparison data is 50,000 and you're wanting to go to 48 when all the others are substantially below that. Below the 50.
MoDOT, so I was comparing the city and MoDOT.
On mechanic, it's 50, you show MoDOT's 24 was 47, City of Jefferson 50.
50,138 or something. So we were in the middle of that. Same way with the city, or with the equipment operator, we were in the middle.
Yes.
The city was a little lower in that case, MoDOT was higher.
Unfortunately, I agree with Eric that we're asking these guys to come to us with a CDL or obtain one within 6 months. They are making a commitment to stick with us, so we are investing in them. If they don't, they're paying us back, so we're kind of minimizing our risk on that group.
What's the cost of the CDL training out of pocket?
We kind of guesstimate it. It really just kind of depends because we pay a service basically, and they go through each one when they got to get it. They go through the classes. It's about 500, but then there's some cost internally where we train them. We have one of our employees train them, but to do that on the outside, actually send them to a course, a for-profit course, 3,000, 4,000 is the general range. So.
But there's other employers that'll train you too, so they can go get a job where they can be trained and get the CDL and go take a course. I took mine well before they required this whole crazy course thing. and
So you're
actually did the driver.
grandfathered in, is that what you're saying?
I've already got my CDL and I've kept it, and Eric's been telling me come push snow, but I told him we can't afford that many mailboxes. So, I know it's a chore to get it now, and we have had a couple of them just recently get it.
And leave.
And we did all our work and then they left, unfortunately. It's gonna happen, but, the ones that you went through on HR, and Sheila's just giving us the information. We're the good guys and bad guys on this, so, if there's other information that we need to have Sheila look at, we can do that, but that's what I've been telling everybody, is go through HR. That's the exercise you gotta go through.
And he has. He's done everything I've asked of him to help validate. the
What are
numbers.
our benefits compared to city and MoDOT? Are they somewhat equivalent, close enough to not even bring that into the equation?
I think they're about the
Okay.
same.
I may ask this every year, but I'm just making sure.
MoDOT's probably a little better on the employee and family health care cost.
So what did we do?
They're very comparable, but then you look at their retirement, they're paying 4% for their retirement versus employees here are not paying anything for their retirement, so.
But Indian, it's
That's
It's ups and
their,
downs.
is that on all of them there? Well, I guess it's on.
No, they're new hires.
They're new hires after a certain date,
Yeah,
which was
I forget what
1/1/11,
date.
I think, so that, okay.
Yeah.
And their multiplier on the retirement is,
Well, they're doing
Comparable to-
4%.
well, I'm talking about the
Oh, what they
annual,
receive?
well, I'm used to Mosier's, and I'm assuming Emperor's is that what it's called? Emperor's is MoDOT's. I think our multiplier is 1.5% per year. Theirs
Oh.
is,
Ours with loggers is, and then we also have serve.
that's true.
So together, I think they're very comparable, if not even more than what the state retirement is. But again, it
They're-
doesn't have all the
they're roughly
facets.
comparable.
Yeah, it doesn't have like 90 and out, it doesn't have all this backdrop stuff, it doesn't have all that kind of stuff. So we're not able to retire earlier like the state people are, so if that makes sense, unless you're law enforcement.
Jeff, you mentioned plowing snow at night. We do hire nighttime drivers, just hourly. We pay them $20.50 an hour. We had to get it to that point because they wouldn't come for under 20. $38,000 a year, that's $18.27 an hour. Now granted, we're not paying these nighttime guys benefits, but they have a job already where they have their benefits. To come in and do that kind of work, it does require, you gotta pay them. We're fortunate that we do have guys that'll come for that because we're actually down. We got a new one this year, but we lost one, so we just have 5 that come in at night. We used to be upwards of 8 or 10, but that number's gone down just because the money's not really there for it. But we got some committed guys, they've been doing it with us for a few years, and
Yeah,
they just,
I worked that first night with the guys, and my hat's off to them. They hopped in the trucks, they took off. They kind of take care of themselves.
yeah.
So,
That's the nighttime guys, but that snow we had, they came in Friday or Saturday at 5 p.m., worked till 5 p.m. the next day, Sunday, and then came back again at 4 a.m. on that Monday. It was pretty, it was a bad one. I've seen some pretty rough ones. That one was probably up there. It's probably the worst one we've seen since I've been at the county for 20 years. That's what we would expect, and we have to have out of our employees to be able to do that. So it takes a trained, somebody that's been doing it for a while. We did have some new guys. They actually did pretty good. One guy was in a tandem. He just started back in September. He was in a tandem this past snow. He came to us with a CDL, so he had that experience. But it does require a certain type of person to do this. It's pretty challenging. So I think we really need to be competitive with our pay. This gets us to where I feel like we're kind of in the middle of the road competitive, where it gets us to where I think we need to be right now. But it's one of those things with this industry changing like it is, we always have to be looking at this to make sure we're where we need to be. But I feel like this request, it's under what is in the budget, what was recommended, and I just feel like we need to be here. There's a lot of other requests we bring to you throughout the year, equipment, everything else. We spend a lot of money on that. You trust us with those recommendations. I ask that you trust me with this one today. I will also add that we did have, so that's on the road and bridge side. There's 2 positions in GR. On the parks and planning, there would be a slight adjustment in both of those to get to where we ended with the minimum on those positions, the starting salary on those positions.
Mark, I've got a question or two for the auditor. So if we just back up to the budget time and actually pre-budget time, the director of Public Works had a number, you had a number.
Your request included all of this, pretty much, right? That goes in the department requested number. My recommended number this year, I only did current salaries plus COLA.
So,
And I think in your part, there was some,
Career
Career
plan.
Career path plan.
You've already approved the career paths of 2 in the past, so that's in there, so, yeah. And then, the amount you approved was probably tweaked a little bit by me based on, at the time, what I had for your current salaries, plus COLA, plus career path, so.
I guess I'm just trying to get the first view from 50,000 feet. The director's original ask, your number that came to us, how far apart were we there? Then, I mean, I'm not asking you to tell me right now, but that's where I'm just trying to get my arms around the whole thing. So at the end of the day, I mean, I hear Eric say that if these numbers are accepted, he's coming in at or below your number?
I think what he's saying, he asked for what he thought in August, and then where the auditor put it at the 2.2 plus the 500 is where it ended up with. But then we did set up a salary reserve within that fund and within everybody else's fund compared to what was asked. Not so much a percentage, not so much anything, but it was the difference between what was asked and where we ended up, if I'm saying that right. So there is, but that pool of money wasn't really anything other than what was asked, if that makes sense.
Okay. So then to dip into the reserve, we put a qualification on that,
Right.
which is basically personnel.
Right, and to go back to the HR department to verify, now whether in your mind you had it just for market adjustments that needed to be done throughout the year, or if it was the whole department changing. That's the question that you guys would have to answer yourselves, as far as that goes. But like we did for the health department, and you guys approved that, it was just for the nurses, for the 7 nurses or 6 nurses. So this is a little different. He is talking about the starting wage for the equipment operator 1, and he's talking about the starting wage for the mechanics. Now, then does that reflect going up the chain to make sure nobody else
They're all
is
increased.
overlapped?
Everything's increasing the way I'm seeing it.
Right.
So from the bottom to the top. So it's not just trying to address starting salary.
Right.
And that's kind of where I was at, is trying to work on that starting salary. Try to get some good people in here.
Yeah,
And
I
then we
don't-
got the career path to try to retain them, and we did that last year, 2 years ago.
You approved it in 22, but it started in 23.
So,
if
I mean,
that's-
it's been a couple
Actually,
years.
22, August, September 22,
Yeah, August.
I think, when it was approved, so we made some adjustments now. I did not get into, but I can, there's the engineering technician track. We did raise the starting on that from 42 to 45. And so there's some adjustments there. They're not
I
as
might be looking
significant
at
as
the
the
wrong
others.
page then, because I'm looking at the one that has the comparisons of the county, city, and
If you look at the page, it's got colors. It should have been the second additional spreadsheet sent on last Wednesday, I
it's
think.
got pretty colors on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Crayola.
Okay, so that has the request for today. The other one was just some
Comparative,
ideas or
yeah.
comparisons. Okay.
I will say that our career path, we did do some adjustments on there. That request is a little higher than,
What initially
So
was
what
in the
was
budget.
initially in the
adjustment is the
budget.
ones I need to look at in that column. That's where the column M is what I got.
I believe. The comparison adjustment is 94,164,
Bottom line on it, yeah.
the bottom
And
line.
that's almost everybody as well.
So myself, Matt, road superintendent, and the 2 assistants, there's no comparison adjustment there. And then some of the others we put in as a career path. There's some being promoted up to the next level, and then there's some career path on some that's been here for a while. And then there's a position that we want to create this year on the GIS side, a Public Works Asset Manager. That position has changed drastically since it was first created 20-plus years ago. And GIS is a small component of what that position does now. So we wanted to do that as a career path and not a comparison adjustment with a new job description and everything. We would do that this year and work with the HR department. That's additional from what was originally submitted.
I think I'm comfortable today in saying yes on, I am comfortable in saying today yes on the operator 1.
Yes.
And perhaps the mechanic 1. And then just, okay, that's phase 1. The next one is to attack operator 2 and then operator 3. Do those need to jump as fast and as far as the schedules indicates? But you haven't had, Sheila, you haven't blessed that yet?
All of the equipment operators, yes.
Oh,
I've been
2
able to
and
compare
3.
and justify.
Okay. So 1, 2, and 3. That's half of your staff, right? Or more?
It's more than half.
More than half.
Yeah, the exact number is 20-something maybe. I could add them up here,
I
but
just tracked off the engineering department and your supervisor, so we should be right around the 30 mark.
22 of them. And I can see.
just equipment operator.
We count 22 here.
Guess I can't count.
Then we got a vacant.
One vacant, yeah.
Then on the mechanic side, there's two, and then a supervisor, so there's three. We got currently 3 crew supervisors, vacant position there. That starting is $56,500.
Eric, what's it mean when it, under the 4th crew supervisor line, it's vacant, promoted position, parentheses, not vacant, or not vacant?
I didn't, so if you look under current salary, I didn't list a salary because we're expecting that somebody else will be promoted into it, so it'll basically delete a salary down below to bring them up there.
Oh, okay. And that without identifying that person, they'll come from somewhere down below?
Could, or, I'm sorry, it will come from somewhere down below. We will hire from within on the crew supervisor position. There's another vacancy, the engineering tech, that could be hired on the outside or from within. That'll be advertised on the outside. As soon as we select, advertise and select the new crew supervisor, we'll advertise for the engineering tech.
So the signing and striping technicians, basically they're making the same as the operator 1, operator 2, operator 3, so.
It's a different career path, but it's the same level.
Okay. So,
Where's the signing?
Where do you see that
it's
at?
underneath,
It's a different schedule. It's not on their, are they not on this schedule?
The other one, the other sheet.
The other sheet.
which is on the back.
For whatever reason, I did not bring that one
But,
up.
see, they're exactly the same price as our equipment operators.
Okay.
So, um,
We list them as equipment operator 1 on the salary spreadsheet.
okay.
All right.
So if we do the equipment operators and the signing and striping, I would be comfortable with that. Mechanic.
Is there any chance that the one equipment operator 1 vacant position can stay vacant?
Oh,
I mean, that 38,000 funds almost 4 $3,000 raises.
we actually held that position, so we had a vacancy this past year. We held it vacant, and it was back when we had the second assistant road superintendent, we just kept it at 1 and held that vacancy. Decided to go ahead and hire an equipment operator 1 because we knew going into this year we'd need that, so. We can, I mean, to be flat out honest, we need as many people as we can get. However, I think I would feel comfortable, going right now if it meant getting the people that we do have, getting them up to the point that they should be. We could give it a chance and maybe, problem, you got two different variables here. You got winter time where you need as many people as you can, and you always have a person or two out sick or something happens, where somebody's out, so you always need some backups. I felt like this last go around, we had a pretty good, group of backups, and we do have some. Matt can get in the truck, I can too, for that matter.
So can Jeff.
Jeff could too.
Well, he's gonna be busy with
Yeah.
the applications
Seniors.
for the tax-free, so.
The good thing about if he were to come work for us, we wouldn't have to pay him, because he's already being paid, so. Of course, it'd be a
Free.
night through the night and everything.
That's gonna cost you on mailboxes.
If that's the wish of the commission, we would, I think if we could go that route to get us into the summer, see where we're at. The problem is if you bring somebody on, you really you figure 6 months to get them fully up to speed if they come with little experience. I think it'd be worth a try, at least, if that helps get this through. Matt, you got any input on that? My concern is that, like I said, I feel like we're short the way it is now. 20 years ago when I started, I think we're down about 2 full-time. I don't have those notes in front of me, but we have gone down, and that happened when we went to the parks. I took the parks position and put it into GR. We didn't hire a new equipment operator to replace that position, so we went down one at that point.
I mean, we're not adding any FTEs with what we're planning on, even filling that last vacant spot. You know, we're always, seems like we're always shorthanded. You know, Eric mentioned that, you know, the wintertime, we need everybody that we can get. Well, even in the summertime with all the work that the guys are doing, it being down one guy, even if one guy's sick or out for whatever reason, it really puts strain on the rest of the crews. So, you know, and if you look at our total numbers, based on just a few years ago, we're still down from even when I started. And that's only been 4 years now, so. In the grand.
Positions?
What's that?
Because you have open positions, not because we eliminated positions, though.
Right. So, you know, can we get by a month or two without filling that vacant spot that's on the list? Possibly, but, you know, we're starting to get into the worst of the winter. So, you know, based on what we've had so far, I'm not feeling real good about the next couple of months, to be honest with you. Now, again, like Eric said, can I jump in a truck? Can he jump in a truck? Yeah, if we have to, but I haven't plowed snow for 15 years.
At the
so.
current salaries we're paying a equipment operator one, I'm amazed that you would get anybody to apply. So I'm whether we fill it or not, I'm still good with increasing.
You look at the benefits packages, pretty substantial, because they can go work for these companies that are building on I-70. They're gonna be driving back and forth every day to Columbia, Boonville, wherever. I don't think they're gonna have the same benefits.
You'd be surprised. The bigger contractors, and they pay a lot more too. I mean, they're gonna be,
Well, these are all gonna be, what's the term? Prevailing wage? Right?
all those contractors are.
Right.
Pretty much, yeah.
So they're gonna be pretty stiff
It's
benefits.
in the 40,000 plus fringe benefits. They either pay them or they give it out in benefits, and it's, Debbie, you know, kind
And I
of.
think younger people look at the amount on their paycheck more than they do benefits
That's
necessarily,
true.
Jeff.
I'd,
We
you
don't
know,
have to have younger people, we can go for middle-aged people.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done the career path, we've made a lot of adjustments. I'm not disagreeing with the starting salary coming up. I mean, we've gone through HR with that too. And the other thing is, how many people drive their county road and get to a state route and can't even get to work anyway? So, you know, if there's something that we've gotta hold back on a little bit there, if it doesn't get hit because we're one less person, it'd probably be my road, but I can't get down W anyway.
I'm a little hesitant to want to hold that position back just because, you know, wintertime, we always needed, we're short, so we're making do. But summertime is probably,
Just
in
as
my mind, it's probably more critical because of what we gotta do prepping for the different contracted work that we got and the demands. Yeah, we're getting by. We try to offset what we can't do in-house just because of lack of personnel with contracted work, and we've done that successfully the past couple of years with the concrete repair services. That's been a big help. We used to have a pretty big concrete crew, but we had to reduce that because we had to put it on the pipe crew and the asphalt crew. You know, from early spring, when the weather gets opened up good enough into the fall, those crews are out all the time. there's not a lot of downtime, so. It will impact the asphalt crew primarily. That's where we would have to take that additional position from. That, you get into a lot of different requirements on that. And then one thing that's always lacking, and it's hard to find enough people, is to do the proper traffic control when we do have a lane drop on a road. Safety is always the biggest concern there, and having flaggers and everything to have enough people out there to do it. That's where we run into probably the biggest issue with not having enough staff, is making sure we're doing the proper traffic control out on the roads. The more through roads, the 2-lane through roads, not the subdivision streets so much, but more the through streets where we need that extra work, extra people.
Have you ever hired those people just by the hour, a flagger?
No, but I don't know, never really thought about that, but if we had to, it'd probably be at the prevailing wage amount, which is, I would assume. I mean, a lot of contractors, they'll go to the union hall if they're union. They can, if they need that, they'll go down there and they can get some people to do that. But it's gonna be the prevailing
That's more
wage.
than what we're paying our men.
That's gonna be, prevailing wage is, what's the latest on that? It's in the 40s.
What was the number?
It's in the 40s.
$40 per hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So,
Plus benefits.
right. That number there, yeah, it sounds like a good idea, but whenever you start breaking down the numbers and the salaries and the cost, it's more than what we're paying, even with raising the starting up here.
Well, you know, the $38,000 salary with 40% benefits takes that cost to about 53 and change, right?
Yeah, 53.
If- I've seen 40% as the fringe package for folks that are in that salary range. So I'm just looking at a way to say, if we can save 53,000 on a 38,000 with benefit person at 53. This is a larger version of what our public administrator did when he cut his staff by one and took those savings and split it. You might say they split it with the county and with his office. I'm just looking for kind of a way to massage this. And what if I said, keep the position vacant until you can't stand it and you come and ask to fill it, and this is why?
Does that get,
That gets you 58, that's, in a sense, it gets you $53,000 that we didn't know we had.
partially, if we had to come back to you in the summer? I mean, will that cover everybody in the red here?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I guess when I printed it, I didn't print a wide enough version of it.
Basically, everybody.
So on your flaggers, you're saying you'd have to hire somebody prevailing wage? If we're out there sweeping the road and we need somebody to hold a flag, we'd have to pay the prevailing wage to hold a flag. We can't go down to a temp service and say, hey, you got somebody needs something to do for a couple days, we need you to hold a
They
flag.
have to be
stop
trained,
traffic."
Jeff. I mean, we put our guys through training. I mean, there is training for that. I don't think, we'd have to bring somebody in that knew how to do it.
I'd hate to have somebody get hit, injured.
Hold a flag down, down.
I just,
And we're.
I understand you're saying there's some
Contract workers, that's a whole
safety
different ballgame.
to it, but that's not an operator.
they get paid it. I mean, yeah, the prevailing wage is a little different. It's a laborer. But I mean, there's some difference, but it's not that tremendous compared to the operator and the carpenter and the mason and everything. I mean, there's some difference. It's the lowest, labor's the lowest. The labor is what's in the 40s now. Equipment operator, they're in the 50s.
Don't get me started on that. We've done prevailing wage jobs.
I know.
We're doing the same thing we do everywhere else. pay more for it because we're government. Doesn't make sense.
So what I presented, like I said, it's less than what was in the budget. And I think it's reasonable, I think it's fair, and I think the reality is this is a high in demand type of occupation right now, as we've seen. We saw Wildwood come in higher than estimated. If you want to get into the engineer side, the engineer and tech side, we saw the Campo study come in a little higher than what we anticipated too. So, you know, I think that's just the nature of what we're dealing with. But at the end of the day, we gotta make sure we have ample staff to be able to take care of the needs of the citizens, whether that's plowing the snow, or whether that's doing the pothole repairs, or getting the roads prepped for asphalt overlays, doing the concrete repairs, everything that we gotta do, mowing, gravel road maintenance. There's a lot rolled into every responsibility that we have. And making sure we take care of the people, we retain them. Anytime somebody leaves and we gotta hire somebody new, the learning curve is pretty tremendous, and you see it mostly with snow removal. There's a pretty big learning curve there, but just in general, just driving the trucks, feeling comfortable with the trucks, it's not something just anybody can get in and drive, or operating the equipment. Track hose, track loaders, skid loaders, minis, graders, everything, boom mowers. It does require a certain level of expertise, and a lot of it takes a lot of time to learn. So like I said, we just put forth our best effort to come up with what we felt we needed. We worked with Sheila on it, and this is just where we need to be.
I don't know, there's some wholesale changes in here that are getting 20% adjustments. And I understand what you're saying about fair, what you may think is fair to you all, but across the county, I mean, if Larry just left, I'll talk about Larry in a minute. And if he comes up to us and says, well, here's my proposal, but it's under the budgeted proposal, so y'all should just pass it. I can't do it just because of that. I've asked y'all to go through HR. I think Sheila said equipment operators, and then mechanics. I think those, she said, were within the purviews of, she said.
You'll have to include those crew supervisors, because they'll be making less than the equipment operator through these.
They're essentially an equipment operator. They're required to do the same. They're just in a supervisory role because they have all of the different crews under them.
3,000, 54, 55. If you didn't.
Oh, if you did.
On our, we did bump our starting entry, or basically starting for a crew supervisor at 56.5.
You know, I think in backing up and in refocusing, your whole operation is full of equipment operators. And maybe the crew supervisors are equipment operator 4s with an asterisk or whatever.
For the most part, yes.
Right. And even the two of you, okay, once you get out of your supervisory, supervisory, you're, at least you're qualified to be one.
Anybody can get in the plow. This last snow, I had to go help somebody they were stuck. This was Sunday night, so I actually went out in one. We all have to do that. We're not just limited to certain job disciplines. The engineering techs, they do. Our youngest engineering tech, he's in a plow. He actually has his own route, as do the crew supervisors.
And even your 2 assistant room superintendents.
Yeah. They
Still
both were,
in plow
yeah,
trucks.
they're in a plow truck too.
I would be good with equipment operators and the signing and striping technicians, because evidently, I mean, they're the same salaries, so include those. The mechanic, I'm fine with, because I'll tell you what, the dealerships, everybody is short mechanics, so, I think today, those are what I would be good with. And then, I think the others, we've got the COLAs. When does the career path, when does that,
Well, some of them, it happens on their anniversary date when they hit the, like for the equipment operator one's going to a 2, so you got some of those on that side that'll actually go to a 2. So there's that's just throughout
That
the
just
year,
varies
whenever it
throughout
is.
the year.
Yeah. And then, I have the Public Works Asset Manager, and then we have one of the mechanics. They're working on the ASE certification, and if they get to a certain level, there is a career path on one of them to go to it. We do have a Mechanic 3 position, but they have to have all the ASE certifications.
So on your, I'm gonna take one of these on your graph here. Equipment operator 1. And then there's the career path amount in there. It's gonna bring the total proposed salary with stipends to 42.5. And then you're saying this year at some point, they're going to take the next step in the career path and they'll be equipment operator 2, correct?
No, there's 4 on the equipment operator 1. The career path on the side there, that'll bump them to the 2, but they don't get another bump in. It's just whatever that amount is.
They'll get that once they hit their anniversary date.
Yeah, so
As
they'll
long as
go,
they've met all the requirements.
they'll go
If they met
down.
all the requirements, say it's April 1st, and go to, they get that 2452 career path bump to 42.5, that would then bring them up to 42.5.
Yes.
Okay, then does that bring them up to an equipment operator 2 at that point? Which is going to bring them up to whatever your low starting is for equipment operator 2,
Which is the
right?
42.5, that's 42.5.
Okay, so the other ones that are down below in equipment operator 2 have already had career path bumps and,
Yeah.
okay.
And again, they have to meet the requirements and also above average salary or evaluations. The main requirements are certain equipment that they have to be proficient in. There's a training requirement too, but they've all met that.
I mean, we did that because we were a little lax on the pay. We don't do that with our clerks, we don't do that with everybody else, so. These are some pretty big wholesale changes on it. Y'all do a hell of a job, I'll give you that. We're just trying to, this is gonna be coming across the board with everybody, so. You guys will be the ones that break us down and get us ready to go.
Well, I mean, a couple of years ago, we did something, not to bring that back up again, but ended up following suit with some of the other employees, and at the time, you know, I don't think it was that big of an addition. But it, you know, again, we just gotta, what other departments make, I think that's between them and the county commission or whatever. I gotta focus on what we need at Public Works. I don't compare to other departments. I know other departments look at what we do, and,
yes, they do.
you know, that's just reality, and,
That's because y'all are under the commission, so it's okay for us to do this for ourselves is what it kind of amounts to, and then other people, other elected officials see it happening and they're like, well, you guys are doing this for your own, so. And sometimes you guys are the ones that get fed last.
Yeah, I
because
did,
you are on them, so it
other
goes
depart-
back and forth.
other departments, whatever, they had some throughout the year, this past year. You know, I've worked with Sheila and then also understood from the commission that you wanted to do this during budget time, which we did. We presented this in August. We presented it in December. And now we're here after the budget's approved, asking for the request. You know, my preference would be do it all, roll it all up into the budget, which it kind of was with that salary reserve, but now we gotta come back, and now we're back in the forefront of this again, so. And we've been sitting here quite a while, I mean.
Well, I'm about to make a motion, how's that?
We can, I mean, if we need to study some of this more,
Here's.
come back next week.
You know, this thing gets distorted because the current salary is already going to get increased by COLA 2.2 and COLA 500. So the $1,961,000 is already going to get increases of 41 and 19, rounded. That's 2,021,000.
Mhm.
And I think you're asking for 2,143,000. It's $122,000 more, rough and dirty. And once we get our arms around this operator situation, that's 94 of it. So I think we're talking, once we get, if we agree that you have a large posse of operators out there, and I'm going to make a motion to accept your request and adopt it as presented. I'm worn down to that. How's that? We'll see if we get a second. We're going to shoot it or we're going to salute it over there.
I'm gonna second it for more discussion, we can vote on a second. My question would be, is that saying to eliminate that operator position? To eliminate it until they come to us and say, we're in dire need and can't do this without this position? Just so that they know what they're dealing with.
I would put that in my motion if it makes a difference, that in order to fill that position, you come to us and ask to fill that position.
I can't speak on behalf of our road superintendent, but I know if he was here, he would have some concern with that. But if it's to where we can come back,
I think if you get somebody who applies, who has experience and who, then I'd say hire him, he or she, and
I'm probably still gonna vote no on it just because we got some other positions that I don't feel like went through the proper HR. And the operators were a majority of it, so I hate to just say no to them, but if you two are gonna both say yes, then we can get off being high-centered here, because I think Eric needs some coffee or go kick something, box or whatever.
We could wait and do it while you're gone on your
all this
trip.
on me.
Is that next week or the week after?
Yeah, next week.
Next week, so we could do this next week in his absence, but why not give him
Should've
something
waited
to
till
think? Well, he won't have to worry about it, he'll already know it's done. Okay, so that's my motion to accept this, but restrict the hire of the vacant position until you come back and ask for a specific authorization to do that.
You seconded that.
I did second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. Run like hell.
Can we settle on the date here? Because we're running into payroll on Thursday, and it does take time to get everything changed and verified and get the forms. So can we do this increase on the first check in February? We're doing the 2.2, and we're
Yes.
doing the 500 on the next check. But the other adjustments, can they go on the first check in February?
You gonna have to do pay forms twice then?
Yes.
I anticipated that, so that's fine.
I think as long as they know it's
Okay.
coming, I think,
That's fine.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate it. I know it's a lot to take in, but this is important for us. And we do
Well, one
appreciate
of the
it.
reasons I'm willing to do this is, one is I'm worn down on this, but the other one is your ability to work well with HR and give HR what they need to make those comparisons. The two of you do a good job of doing that heavy lifting.
We
And if I
appreciate
could
that.
ask for a new updated version of the career plan for the
I will work
commission
on
to
that.
approve.
Yeah.
Get it as quick as I can to you.
So really between this and the career path, don't come back to us again.
Well, I plan on being here with a lot of stuff next
We,
week.
we,
since
we like
Steph
you to
ain't
come
gonna
in under budget,
I've got about 10 months.
you know.
There's a lot of things I'd rather do than this, honestly, and I know you understand that, but at the end of the day, this is the most important thing for us to make sure we got our
I
employees.
understand you're going to bat for your employees, so appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, she really needs something to put the phone.
What do you want exactly?
Okay. So I think we are
Why don't we pull
done.
out what was approved, Eric, and
We've
give
got
her
a
that
closed session
portion?
on there yet.
Yeah, we
Didn't
did.
see that.
We
Okay.
did.
Oh, you just met with the regular?
Yeah, do we have
Give it
any
to her just
unfinished,
Immediately following the meeting.
any unfinished business?
Yeah.
Yes,
Friday
Well,
afternoon.
part of it still,
Just
yeah,
take
all of the equipment, yeah.
Okay. Can I
okay.
just
I'll
email it
just
to
come
you?
up here and lean on him. Friday afternoon, heat wheel at the jail blew up. The shaft cracked, destroyed the heat wheel, we got a price, parts order. Sheriff does have that coming out of his budget and is off cooperative agreement. Last week we had pre-bid for painting at the health department. We had 4 contractors that showed up, so hopefully we'll get some good numbers out of that. Sheila, whatever numbers I need to get you for pay raises or whatever, let me know, send me an email. so
I don't
we can
have
just-
anything to do with you, so quit shaking me.
Please,
just
I
need
get
local
that. I also,
comparisons.
at time of budget, and gave that to Mark. I'd like to get my guys up. It was only 3% I asked for my guys, an additional of the 2.2. So, hopefully we can come up with that. Other than that, I'm done.
Okay. Do we have any other unfinished business? Then I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion that pursuant to section 610.021 of the revised statutes of Missouri, the commission will go into closed session to discuss the following: security systems under section 610.021 subsection 20.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sam,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Sure.
This is the most.
No,
I ain't got to see you in a while, so I had to pick on you.
Because I'm busy working.
yeah, we talked, no, this is